Hey everybody, so I'm going to do a quick review on season 10, episode 16, the finale of Married at First Sight. I'm going to make it quick, so I made some notes and I'm just going to run through them because there wasn't a whole lot that came with this episode other than the couples deciding yes or no. There wasn't much other information with this episode. So anywho, let's get started, shall we? Okay. So first things first, they start off with Austin and Jessica. I don't know why I want to keep calling her Jennifer. Austin and Jessica. So Austin and Jessica, they wake up. They're both in their separate places. They go to decision day. And they do that recapping of the whole season, and they bring up the I love you, and I'm gonna take this off because there's a glare. They bring up the I love you situation. They also bring up his working, and so the experts they pretty much ask Austin, so Jessica's already said that she loves you. What do you think of that? Pastor Cal's like, what do you think about that? So he's like, I think that's a very important word, yada yada. I don't want to just say me too and not have it really mean anything. So Pastor Cal is just basically like, hey, if you're having those feelings and you're doing all the things that would constitute I love, then just saying I love you is like a minor thing. So of course they both decide to stay together, and he says I love you, and she's just like, oh, I love you too, and oh, the champagne pops, yada yada. They're in love, and I'm happy for them. I really am. And then it just kind of fast forwards to them meeting back with their sister and brother-in-law and the baby, and just kind of discussing eventually finding their own place together and stuff like that. So moving right along, I spent too much time on them. Okay, so the next one is what did I write down? Oh, Brandon and Taylor. So it starts off. Taylor wakes up, gets dressed, goes down to the decision room, and they are just waiting on Brandon. So the experts are like, what would you think if he just doesn't show up? Because it's a real possibility. He just quit filming a while ago. So it's like, well, what do you think if he just doesn't show up? And she's like, well, if he doesn't show up, then I'll know that that's the decision that he made. So I was like, okay. So it cuts to commercial, comes back, and lo and behold, Brandon does show up. Late, but he does show up. And even when he does show up, they just start discussing about the importance of, the marriage, and what we're, that things ended on a poor note, with between him and production. So then he goes on to basically blame production, saying that, he was upset with production. Because of how they acted during the retreat, he wanted an apology. He eventually got an apology, okay. But he also mentioned that they made him late for work. So the experts were like, well, we've never made anybody miss work. He says, oh, it happened twice. Then he just says, hey, I got to go to the bathroom. And he just gets up. So Pastor Cal's like, we're still in the middle of filming here, kind of thing. Like, come sit back down. Let's finish out this, pretty much finish out the decision making. So he's like, well, I have to go to the bathroom. And Pastor Cal's like, I have to go to the bathroom too, but I'm not going to stop production. Are you incontinent? I said, ooh. I was like, really, Pastor Cal? He was really Listen, I think that they were just fed up with Brandon and his shenanigans. They was like, look, you start and stop, and you want to call all the shots. And Pastor Cal was through with it. He was like, are you incontinent? I was on the floor at that point. So I was done with that. So, so basically, of course, they decide to not stay together. And Brandon, as soon as Taylor says, but because of our rocky start, I think I'm going to go ahead and, part ways. He jumps up, he's out of there. They do the little after the decision camera film, and he's like, "Love don't live here no more." I was like, "Okay, Brandon, moving right along." So they're done. So so we're gonna move on to Mika and Lion Michael. So Mika gets dressed. They come down there. She's feeling kind of like she knows what she wants to do, but she's like, with these past couple of days have really kind of been better than the entirety of the relationship so far. So it kind of does that suspensefulness. And so they ask Mika. Oh, Mika's thing was, I want to make the right decision. And so whenever Pastor Cal basically asks Michael about the lying, he's like, do you feel that the lying has become a habit? He starts talking in circles about how it's like the way in which he learned how to survive as an individual was not something that could be carried over into a marriage. So they were proud about that. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough, because she decides, of course, to get a divorce. He's like, "Well, I don't believe in divorce." I'm like, well, either way, it's happening. It's happening. And because she said, "I really don't even know who he is," and I could not imagine being with someone for 8 weeks and feeling like, I don't even know if your name is Michael. I don't know. You've never really had a job. Like, I don't know who you are. And she hit it right on the head. She was like, the experts match me with who Michael portrayed himself to be and not who he really is. And that's not fair. Like, they really need to do these background checks and stop pulling people from any and everywhere. I just don't understand, because it's not fair to the people who actually are going out there trying to find love, and then they get matched with imposters. But so let me see if there was anything else. Oh, then Michael talks about, it's not, it's kind of like one of those, it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get back up. And I've gotten up and try to put his best foot forward. And I'm just like, yeah, I really, really, really want Michael to get counseling, because I say that he is a good guy, and he has good potential to really be a good person, and maybe good for somebody in a relationship, but he just really needs to do the work on himself. You can't be anybody. You can't be, in any kind of relationship until you do the work on yourself. And before if you just refuse, or you are oblivious to working on yourself, you're going to continue to make the same mistakes over and over and over again. And it's just not fair, because you're pulling other people into your chaos, and that's not fair to other people. So I really hope that he watches the show back and really takes a step back and looks at all the times he lied, because he's talking about what did he say? He didn't say about lying. He said that what I've done, or what I do relied on skills that aren't on the up and up. Okay, so if you are relying on skills that aren't, just see, you gotta be honest. Say a lie is a lie is a lie. A fairy tale, a fallacy, a falsehood. Call it what it is. When you face it, then you can address it. And until he frustrates me, because I see so much potential in him that he to me is different from Brandon, because Brandon, he's got some kind of like power ego sort of thing going on, but he's not this just categorical, I just have to lie because it's like breathing to me type of person. Like, he has his own issues that he needs to work out as well, but I feel like Michael is a little bit worse, because he's not self-aware. He's starting to become a little more self-aware, but he's not really connecting the fact that when I lie, it affects other people. Like, he's not putting that together. He can start to say it, when he was saying that what he does as an individual doesn't work in a marriage, which is fine. That's like baby step one. But you have to know X equaled Y. Like, you can't just sit there and be like, well, I thought we had into his eyes, it felt like, hey, we had a good time. There were a few little moments here and there, but overall, it was a great experience. And I just disagree because it wasn't a great experience for her. It just wasn't. And I'm not saying she's perfect. She's a little rough around the edges at times, but it was because she was frustrated. And I feel like that frustration is what led her to be the way that she was. So I spent too much time on them. Okay, so Katie and Derek. Now, this couple here, I really, I'll just cut to the chase. They decided to stay together. Both of them. But Katie was like, oh, we've built this friendship. She kept talking friends, and he kept talking about, relationships and long-term type of things. And she was just talking about friendships and I guess not having that passion, so to speak, behind it. And the thing that the experts tried to stress is that it's not so much about the passion, it's about the friendship. Like, that is going to have moments where they fade, and what do you have left if you're not having the passion and the heat? Is going to be that friendship. It's going to be that stability that lasts the test of time. So excuse me, my throat is dry. I'm good though. Okay. But yeah, so I just think that she too, like Michael, they need to work on so she, like Michael, they both need to work on just that self-reflection and being intuitive. So they decide to stay together. Moving on, and I was surprised that they actually had, well, not surprised because I saw it in the previews, but they had a Zach and Mindy. So from the previews, it looked like, oh man, Mindy about to get soft-hearted for Zach and say, oh, let's give it another go. I don't know where they pulled that clip from where she was like, oh, well, kind of like, well, if you put it that way. They made it seem like she was going to reconsider Zach. But in the actual show, she made up her mind and she was done with it. And she was proud of herself because she felt like, she said that she learned so much more about herself and, boundaries and all these things that she felt like she would not have learned had she not been matched with someone like Zach. And, Zach, what did he think? Zach was just grinning and smirking, and I just wanted to smack him. Oh my gosh, he was so irritating. And they asked him, okay, are you just trying to be here for camera time, or are you really trying to find a marriage? And he was just like, I was trying to find a marriage and blah, 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 blah. And it was all, I don't believe him. If you look at his Instagram, like, he's a fitness and like, I guess he's just like modeling all the, he's not, he really was probably looking for that friend, Lindsay or something. I don't know. Now, what he did say is that, he wishes that he would have done things differently. He said, when we had time together, it was good. But I'm just not believing anything that comes out of his mouth at this point because he's just not, he never was really into it. And then he said something about, what did he say? That, he had walls up. That was his thing. He felt like he had walls up. But on the personal interview, he was saying that, he's still, I guess, kind of like optimistic and hopeful and knows that, he'll be able to, I guess, find someone that he can have like an emotional and physical attraction to. And that was all he was really about, was the aesthetics. And Mindy is not ugly, so I don't really know what his problem is. But he's all about wanting someone he can have a physical attraction to. And I was so done with him. So they end up all getting together as couples. After the decision, they all go out for dinner and stuff like that. So it was nice to see all the couples together. Even the ones that decided not to stay together, they showed up. And they just kind of talked about what were their plans moving forward, the two couples that stayed together. So Katie and Derek, they found a place together. And then, like I mentioned earlier, Jessica and, what's his name? It's late. I can't even think of that man's name. Austin. they're still looking for a place. So that's it. I know this was really kind of boring, but I'm tired and it's like almost midnight. So like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know, what do you think, because they're actually already going to be doing casting for the next season of Married at First Sight, which I think is a little soon, but you know, I feel like we need a little break because this is a lot. It was just a train wreck of couples, and I just hope and pray that they do a better job. But from the looks of the previews of what they're going to be casting, I think it's going to get worse because somebody comes down the aisle in like a unicycle or something. I don't know what kind of circus stuff going on, but the moral of the story is stay tuned. If you missed out on this season, don't you worry. There's another season coming up right after this one. All right, you guys, take care and be safe out there. Bye-bye.